Hello everyone, it's Dick here. As an American living in the UK, I am often told by friends, colleagues, and acquaintances about impending trips planned for a visit to the United States. I politely ask where they intend on visiting, secretly knowing it will be one of three places: New York, Las Vegas, or most disappointingly, Los Angeles, but always delivered as LA, like a hanging Chad waiting for praise or guarded jealousy. The British have a skewed vision of the United States, kind of like those 90-day fiancé mail-order brides who think everyone lives in a McMansion starter castle or penthouse apartment in glittering sky rises. We can blame television for this inaccuracy of belief. The reality is much more pedestrian and depressing. Most of the time I respond with mild platitudes of, "That's nice," or "Have fun," but depending on how well I know the person, or the mood in which they catch me, I respond with the following refrain of disdain. Do you know the history of Los Angeles? No? Well, let me tell you an abridged version to inform your visit, so you're not surprised by your disappointment. The invention of the moving picture camera was attributed to Thomas Edison in the United States, the same man who claimed to have invented the light bulb. He is historically known as an opportunistic industrialist thief, but certainly his laboratory improved upon and made prevalent the light bulb in the United States. Whether he invented or whether his laboratory improved on the moving picture camera, it is fact that his lab at Menlo Park in New Jersey was the site of the first motion picture studio in the United States. If any of you have visited Menlo Park, or anywhere in New Jersey for that matter, you'll know that the weather is not consistently clear, and enjoys, for better or worse, 4 distinct seasons throughout the year. As the popularity of motion pictures grew, it was clear to the pioneers of the budding industry that New Jersey was not an ideal location for shooting movies year-round. So like most American pioneers, movie companies looked west. Los Angeles, at the time, was a scrap of valley between 2 sandy mountain ranges. It was unwanted and disused real estate, not good for much of anything. Californians and Los Angelinos will cite a longer history, dating back to prehistoric native settlements, Mexican, and early European settlements. But it is clear that San Francisco with its railroad and port, and Northern California with its gold rush, had relegated LA to a supporting role in the development of the state. There's no arguing that Los Angeles found its prominence after the founding of Hollywood. There was a boom after the founding of Hollywood, and mythic status has been attributed to this worthless scrap of earth ever since. If ever you choose to visit, but for a business purpose, LA is a waste of your time, money, and efforts. Los Angeles is a parking lot, both literally and figuratively. It is overdeveloped, paved, and dirty. It is akin to the remnants that the great glaciers left along the Mason-Dixon line once they began to recede. It is the pile of gravel and refuse left at the end of a street after the plowed snow melts at the close of a harsh winter. Los Angeles was paved and then forgotten by its civil engineers. I can't find a patch where the rubbish hasn't gathered in the corners or weeds haven't penetrated the cracks in the concrete. And if you tell me that you're planning to visit Los Angeles, I will ask you if it's too late to change your plans. Why am I telling you all this? Well, I'll tell you, my fine viewers, I recently found myself once again reluctantly visiting Los Angeles, and I unhappily had my previous and continued impressions confirmed, and I longed for the gray shores of home. While in town, I took some time to visit the Los Angeles location of the bike shed. I know. Back before the pandemic, I heard grumblings of the bike shed opening an American location. Based upon their contribution to the gentrification of Shoreditch in London, I assumed it was going to be in Brooklyn. And despite my vote for a location in Detroit, Milwaukee, Austin, or Memphis, when I heard it was going to be in Los Angeles, it made complete sense. The founders have been quoted as citing motorcycle registration numbers in California as contributing to the choice to settle there, but I think we can all agree that the proximity to celebrity was the driving force. Over my 2 weeks sitting in traffic in the greater Los Angeles area, I counted a total of 11 motorcycles on the road, and 3 were in the bike shed parking lot. You'll find the bike shed nested in an old warehouse in the repurposed Arts District. As someone who has been in the art world since the 90s, you can take my word for it when I tell you that the term Arts District means that it's just the cheapest post-industrialist real estate available to artists until the artists are pushed out by stronger financial interests, i.e. gentrified. So the bike shed is staying true to their original business plan. Despite my reluctance and preconceptions based upon my experience at the London location, I was hopeful that the self-anointed foodie culture of Los Angeles would have elevated the bike shed fare and perhaps raised the food to parity with the interior decoration of the bike shed. We had to be let into the parking lot by a gatekeeper, A sign on the gate said motorcycles only. A nearby pay lot advertised space for cars visiting the bike shed. We asked the gatekeeper about parking our rental car in the lot, and he enthusiastically waved us in, as the lot was virtually empty. The signs in the parking lot and the name on the building may raise some eyebrows to those who are familiar with the UK business and the bike shed history. The Los Angeles location is known as the Bike Shed Moto Co., while the London operation is known as the Bike Shed Motorcycle Club. On the front gate and on the fence in the parking lot, there is also a prominent sign saying, "Sorry, no MC colors." This again reveals the naivete of the British looking across the pond for inspiration. As an American, I know a motorcycle club as a very specific thing. There was a story circulating about the early days of the bike shed in LA. They were quick to get a sign up on the building while they were still under construction. Whether it was to generate a local buzz or for marketing purposes associated with the Long Way Up finale, I'm not privy to the reasoning. One day early on, it is rumored that the local chapter of the Hells Angels paid the folks at the bike shed a visit, and after some words regarding the meaning of the term motorcycle club, the LA branch of the bike shed ceased being a motorcycle club and became a Moto Co. To add clarity to this new status, the sorry sign appeared on the gates and the fences. I wonder if that rule extends to the BSMC patches and paraphernalia that they sell. But I digress. Just like the London location and the annual bike shed motorcycle shows dating back to 2013, the facility is impressive. No expense was spared. Other than the subpar art on the walls, the place looks cool, and that is where the bike shed folks shine. They know how to create a space. But for me, that's where it usually ends with these guys. We booked ahead for our meal, as it was a holiday weekend, and we were worried we would be disappointed if we just walked up. Every slot for every day of the week was available. I chalked this up to the booking culture of the UK and the casual walk-up culture of the USA. But Los Angeles is more accustomed to booking reservations than elsewhere in the country, so take that with a grain of salt. Our server was very friendly and candid about what he thought was good and what we should skip on the menu. At first glance, the prices seemed reasonable, but that was contradicted when the food arrived and we saw how small the portions were. Small portions are not always a problem if the food is good, not so in this case. My wife Fanny grew up in western central New York, the home of buffalo wings. And after a lengthy Q&A with our server about how the wings were prepared, she ordered half a dozen only to find that they were rubbery, a result of being earlier prepared and sitting most of the afternoon in a warming tray. Insult to injury, the blue cheese listed on the menu was watery ranch salad dressing instead. My buttermilk battered cauliflower promised a zesty alternative to fried chicken. Instead, I was served a pile of dusty cauliflower that tasted like microwave cauliflower. The fried cheese curds were all right and were obviously factory made and warmed up in-house, as were the Parmesan truffle french fries, which were served luke cool. The garlic mashed potatoes came from a powder. The unsweetened iced tea was as good as anywhere else, and the Shirley Temples were weak and lacked maraschino cherries, but at least they were free refills. The food was so lackluster we didn't bother to finish it. The 4 appetizers and drinks cost us $82 before the 20% tip to our blameless, attentive server. Just like the London location, there was a barber shop and a tattoo parlor. The barbershop didn't have prices listed. Visiting the website, the barbers are all featured with headshots and egotistical bios with links to their Instagram pages. There's no price list, and I was forced to book a slot before I could contact the barber to get a price for my haircut. I didn't think there could be something more pretentious than a 50-pound cash dry cut that's offered at the London location, but I stand corrected. The tattoo parlor was vacant and dark when we arrived. When we left, there was a guy sitting alone in the dark in the empty shop. The massive retail footprint had designated corners to specialty brands. The watch brand had its own rep sitting behind the desk looking busy. Including the watch rep, there were 3 staff working the shop, matching the 3 of us browsing. No one else entered the shop during our entire time at the bike shed. On our way out, my daughter and I witnessed the board staff having a push-up contest. Frankly, I don't blame them. For all of its glitz, the bike shed is boring. When I caught up to Fanny, she told me that the hostess who had seated us asked her if she needed any help or if she'd like to be seated. Seeing as we were the only customers left in the place, and there were only a handful when we arrived, this was concerning. We counted at least 25 staff on premises during our visit. A huge open space dogleg to the restaurant had a smattering of bikes on display, and a line of Eagle Rider motorcycle renters along the back wall. Above the kitchen sat the VIP lounge looking down on the plebs. This giant space is aspirationally going to be the site for, quote, movie premiere after parties and other exclusive events. Which brings me to the membership option at the Bike Shed LA. You can have a read for yourself, but in a nutshell, it's a contradictory jumble of marketing doublespeak, inviting you to become a member of an exclusive club that is all about inclusivity. If you've seen my previous videos about the Bike Shed London, you'll know my thoughts on it. It is the motorcycle cafe equivalent of Main Street in Disneyland. And the LA location is no different. Everything is curated and presented to a high degree. But like the movie set facades up the road, there is no substance behind the veneer. The food is lackluster at best and overpriced to boot, just like Disneyland. It is even more apparent in the context of this facility. With that much attention to its interior design and styling, one would think that at least a little quality and care would rub off onto the revenue-generating portion of the business. It is the motorcycle cafe equivalent of a Hard Rock Cafe or Planet Hollywood, only in a worse location. Like their London location and the ever more corporate-leaning annual bike shows, I am left with the lingering feeling that instead of having an authentic experience of my own, my attendance is simply designed to fund someone else's lifestyle. With another $100 of ours in their pockets, I hope this is our last contribution. If you like that video and you want to see more like them, hit like, share, and subscribe.